So in this video, I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about some of the finer details of the Wing Sung 3010. That's the 3010 fountain pen. It's this fountain pen right here. This is a budget fountain pen from Chinese fountain maker Wing Sung. You could buy these off Amazon, maybe not Amazon. You can buy them off eBay, and it's like a 5-pack for $8 or something like that, or a 12-pack for $10. It's a great deal. It's a really fun pen. I really like them a lot, and I've been spending a lot of time using them. So one of the things I started to notice is some similarities between the Wing Sung 3010 and the Lamy Safari. That's this pen right here and this pen right here. Aesthetically, the pens are clearly different. It's not like this design looks like a Safari, but some of the components are the same. You know, you do have the wire clip. You know, that's not like a similarity that interests me, but it's more so that I started looking at the nib system. So here is a stainless steel nib from the Wing Sung. You can see it's a slide-on style nib with kind of a wraparound design. Here is a Lamy Safari nib. Quite similar. Again, slide-on style, wraparound design. If you look at the two side by side, you'll see, again, it's like very small instruments, so it's hard to tell exactly, but very similar in width. Lamy's a little bit wider or taller, whatever you want to call it, but really quite similar. Okay, that's interesting. Next, I started playing around with the feeds. This is the feed from a Lamy Safari. You could see, vertical post here, the, I don't know what these are called, skives or something like that. The skiving here, this kind of like holds the ink. It's a channel here at the top, kind of standard features. And then you could see the bottom part of the feed. You can see the channeling and basically the ledges here and here that hold on to the nib. The nib will go like basically this, it'll slide right on. And the nib is flexible, so it'll spring out and really grab on that feed. With Lamy, it's a really nice fit. It slides on and off fairly easily. Now let's look at the Wing Sung feed. Very similar design. Again, very similar post. The skives or whatever here, channel. Of course, those are common to any feed, so like these aren't distinctive, but the layout of the two is quite close to each other. You could see in profile, quite similar. Here you see the shoulders. The shoulders, it's hard to pick it up on the Lamy because it's black, obviously. So I'm doing what I can to kind of get you some contrast there. But for me, they look quite alike. So I started thinking, would they be interchangeable? The feed doesn't really break a lot, so it's not like this is super useful. So this is largely an academic exercise, but I started playing around with this and trying to get the 3010 feed inside the Lamy. And even though they look quite similar, you can see they essentially have the same length. The Lamy's slightly thinner, but it's more than that. It has something to do with the shape. I don't know if it's something with these different facets here at the top or these little cutouts at the top, but it doesn't exactly fit. Let's move over now and see if I could fit my Lamy nib on the Wing Sung feed. For me, that works. It's a little bit loose, but I would say that works. Yeah, no, it's actually quite nice. If you pull it off, yeah, maybe it's a little loose, but that should work. I would call that a fit. And then let's try the Lamy. And I'll put these feeds in all the way in a minute. Put the Wing Sung on the Lamy. Okay, so it's a little tight, but workable. I'm ready to ink that and try it out. Again, I have the Lamy nib, so this is like a $14 nib or so, so it doesn't really make sense to go ahead and put, you know, to like toss it aside and use the Wing Sung nib. But if you have a Lamy pen and you want a finer nib and you don't feel like spending $15 or something like that, then maybe you could buy a Wing Sung and try it. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I removed the Lamy feed and I realized that I was putting it in incorrectly, which is probably obvious to everyone besides myself. Basically, you need to find the right angle. If it requires any force, that's not the right one. So I'll turn it, and it's not it. Turn it a little bit. There you go. And now it slides in quite nicely. So you just need to find exactly where that sweet spot is, and then it lines up. I will now attempt to do the same with the see, yeah, things are actually nice when they work out the way they're supposed to. So there you go. I have a really nice fit between the Wing Sung feed and the Lamy grip. So I'm gonna put that in there. Feels nice. I think that's spot on. And now I'm going to attempt the same with the Wing Sung grip section and the Lamy. So I'm gonna just spin it until I could find a point of no resistance. There you go. Yeah, so these are channeled, or they're directional, or they are clearly opinionated in some way. So when I go like this, doesn't work, super smooth. And now it doesn't stop there, it lines up nicely. And then does it lock in? It doesn't really lock in the way I would like to see. A little bit more pressure towards the end there and feel it really sort of lock in. But let me see if I could pull this one out. Yeah, see, this one doesn't want to come out, which is what I like. But I'll give this one a shot. I'll give it a shot. Clearly, the cartridge should still work, right? So the cartridge is going around the outer diameter of the clear piece, which is the part of the grip section, not the outer diameter of the feed right here. So I'm going to have a good seal here thanks to this converter working. And then if I get any leaking, it's going to it'll probably happen right here. Perhaps I could use some silicone grease there if I could find some. But I'm going to try it without first and see if I have any leaking. Now we will try the Wing Sung. It's on there. Now I'll try the Lamy nib on the Wing Sung feed. And this will be essentially an experiment of two different things right now. It'll be, do the feeds work in the different bodies, but also how well do the nibs work on the feeds? Obviously, the Lamy nib has gone back on the Lamy body, but it would work the same within the body of the Wing Sung because it would have the feed from the Wing Sung on there, if that makes sense. I know it's like kind of mixing up or adding extra variables in, but I think we'll run with this. Okay, so I'm gonna start these pens and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so we're going to try the Lamy first. Again, this is the Lamy pen with the Lamy nib, but on the with the Wing Sung feed. So pop this in. These Lamys are tough to get on. give this one a minute. And now we're going to try this one. This is clearly the one I'm suspicious of, was that feed is a little bit loose in the body, but we'll see what we can do. I'm not gonna put too much ink in there just to avert any possible disasters. Okay, so this one's writing immediately, as you'd expect. Has that nice Wing Sung feel to it. Doesn't have any problems keeping up with the nib. For the record, this is an extra fine nib. So it's writing, no problem there. So this is the Wing Sung 3010 with a Lamy, says the EF, Safari. No problems there. I don't really see, there's definitely a little bit of ink there at the end, and we'll know because if you were to put something absorbent here, you're obviously picking up some ink. Now some of that will be from the fact that I just submerged this entire piece in ink, but after cleaning or after doing a couple little dabs like that, we'll have to see if any ink re-emerges. This does seem like a lot of ink to me to be coming out here, which is not a great sign, but we'll see how it goes. Like that's a fair bit of ink to come out of there, which makes me think that that seal is not successful. Yeah. The other way we would know that this is not working properly is if you shake it like this and any drops come out. That would be a sign it's definitely a no-go. Doesn't seem to be losing ink, which is a good sign. Clearly getting mixed signals here. So we'll keep going with this a few times. Could be possible that just there's a limited quantity of ink that came out and we're getting it all, and then there's not gonna be any left, which would obviously seem like there'd be a good leak. This also could be happening from the nib, right? If this nib isn't pushing back as much as the Lamy would, it would create some ink pull from there. Like some ink could be sneaking up there, but that's kind of actually fine, because it's not happening, it's not getting through the surrounding area like this. It's hard to pick it up, but it's not getting through the seam between the grip and the feed. It's just coming through the channel the way it's supposed to do, the way it's supposed to. So it writes nicely, get good ink flow, no problems there, keeping up with me. And I'm getting good color saturation, everything I would expect from a good pen experience. So, and then I'm gonna shake it pretty hard. Yeah, nothing's coming out. So I don't know, I think this is loose, but acceptable. I would probably, if I was doing this again, I'd probably put a little bit of silicone grease there just to be a little bit more sure about that seal. But for me, I don't know, I think it works. I'm gonna keep this capped for a couple days and see if it leaks. I'll use it intermittently and see how it goes. Okay, so now the Safari with the Wing Sung feed. I didn't touch this one or anything like that. It's been sitting there for the 2 or 3 minutes, whatever happened on the video. There's no photography magic going on there. We see it's writing nicely. And this one's easy to tell that the feed works well because it's clear. We don't see any ink leakage or problems there. So that's quite nice. At this point, it's writing well. Again, keeping up, no problem. So this is the and this one is a fine. This is an older nib design, I think. Or maybe it's actually just from an LX or something like that. I forget where this one came from. But this one works great. So this is, for me, 100% working and interchangeable. And then you can see that cool little aperture there. It stays clear, which is really nice. And it really is clear. You can see it will black out when there's something behind it. So very cool. So yeah, it's the kind of more than anyone ever wanted to know about the Wing Sung 3010 and its interchangeable parts with the Lamy Safari. I guess we're on the subject. Let's see if the nibs go back. No, definitely not. So that truly is everything you want to know about these two pens and how they work together. Thanks for watching.